What's the latest on Sam Cane, Dave?
He's closer than he was last week. I will make a call tomorrow, but we just want to make sure he's got a decent training week heading into playing. His ankle's a lot better, and a lot of it is around being able to turn and change angles and so on and so on. So, yeah, so there's a possibility we could bring him off the bench, maybe leave him for another week.
How about Michael Leach, Dave? What's the status on him?
Yeah, he's available. So he's obviously had a fair break. His Toshiba not qualifying for Japan Cup, so we're pretty keen for him to have a decent rest. He's just played a phenomenal amount of footy, consecutive weeks. So, but he's in great space, really fit and lean and hungry to play. So he could well feature.
How big a step up did you see from your forward pack on Friday night, considering you were a little bit grumpy after that final pre-season hit out?
Oh, look, I think their set piece was really good. So obviously there's a fair bit of focus on it after we got tailed up a bit against the Blues. So that was a big step up, and the biggest, I think that impressed us most probably was our work for each other. The 20 metres out from our line, we defended really well. I think we fell off a hell of a lot of first up tackles, which put us under pressure, but our big men did a lot of defending around the edges, and that highlights character, I think.
How big a step up do you need to see from them again this Friday night?
Yeah, it's certainly going to be another step up. They got a very impressive scrum, obviously led through Pauliasi, so we're going to have to be better than we were last week, no doubt.
What about defensively? Do you have to make many adjustments? You were very effective in slowing down the Highlanders. The Blues can be quite expansive at times. Do you need to make tweaks to that side of things?
Oh, what we know is you give them time and space, as the Rebels did. They got pummeled, so they got game breakers all over the park, and so we're going to have to defend well. We're going to have to hunt really well to potentially steal or slow down Pill, and going to have to work hard for each other.
You guys didn't have a lot of ball sort of last week, so how have you sort of worked on maybe possibly turning it around for, Friday night? Yeah,
we didn't have a lot of ball because we didn't look after it, and we kicked it away at times, and we should have kept it and built more pressure. So that's our own issue. So we've got to make some better decisions around that, and we've got to work harder to look after it. So that's been our focus.
Mitch Carper, how pleased were you first up? Effort from him, and obviously coming up against his old province this week.
Yeah, Mitch went well, I thought. Obviously, it's been a year in the making, getting him out in the park, so he's pretty excited, and I thought he contributed really well, as all our Lucy's did. So we're pretty fortunate in that position. I thought Lockie Bashir was excellent off the bench, and obviously we've got Sam coming back at some stage.
Okay, and obviously Mitch would be coming up against his old, where he plays the province for, but in the past you've sort of used Patrick Osborne, for example, come up against the Crusaders. Would that be something that you'd like to unleash him against his old team?
There's no guarantees if you've played for another team that you'll get a crack against them. So you'll find out tomorrow, Brett.
Dave, Rieko Ioane, what do you make of him, and how do you shut a player like that down in the midfield?
Oh, he's outstanding, isn't he? Big and powerful and incredibly quick. So I mean the key is deny them a possession. That would be good. There's no guarantees to that, so we're going to have to shut down his space, and going to have to defend really well on him. Key is you've got to apply pressure all over the park so he doesn't get those opportunities. But when he does, we're going to have to be able to shut him down. So there'll be a bit of emphasis on our midfielders and the quality of our tackling.
When you're doing your scouting after a game like the Blues had, is it easier or harder to figure out exactly what to do against a team when they've had a bit of a blowout?
Obviously, from an attack point of view, we're looking at what the Rebels did and how they exposed them or potentially exposed them, and there wasn't a lot of holes from that point of view, So I think they've been defending really well, the Blues, and that's what we found when we played them a couple of weeks ago. But we're going with a plan in areas where we think we can challenge them a little bit, and it comes down to whether we're good enough to, or clinical enough to do that.
Just on Rieko Ioane, I guess Anton Leonard-Brown facing quite a stern test going up against him. So what does, Anton do well in terms of maybe micro skills that you really like with Anton?
Oh, because Anton is an outstanding tackler. That's going to be handy when you're talking about Rieko. And Anton's really good at reading the play, so defending on frontline players, but also able to push back and shut down options back door. He's got the best creative pass in the game, I reckon. So his ability to challenge but still link, maybe in unorthodox ways. And so and the other thing with Anton is his phenomenal work rate. So if you look at the numbers that we look at, his work rate off the ball is just outstanding. Be the best of any midfielder in this competition.
In the England-Italy game, had you seen, I guess, what the Italians were doing in terms of not making rucks, and is that something you've talked about with your team in terms of maybe how to adapt to something random like that could happen?
Oh, it's absolutely new to us, that tactic.
There was a few high ball incidents over the weekend. I think 3 in the New Zealand teams, the guys fell pretty heavily. What do you think of how the progression of the high ball's gone? It seems like it's turning into an even more dangerous scenario because players are so brave and so aerial.
Yeah, there's no doubt that the way it's being ruled, if you both get up and compete in the air, it's going to be fair play. If one stays on the ground, the other one falls over the top of him, you're going to get punished. So I guess players are being encouraged to get in the air and compete. But yeah, it's a collision part of our sport, and the key, I know what we're trying to do. We're trying to get uncontested ball, which means our support players running lines that forces the opposition to run around them, which means that we've got more chance to get into the ball without someone jumping against us. So I think all teams have got the same mindset.
Is there a way you can teach people to fall properly or anything like that? Do you have any mind to that? Because things could and will go wrong.
Certainly if you look at a lot of guys, they're going up frontal with a knee up in a strong position, so that the key is you want to try and dominate that collision, and I think if you do, you tend to land well, and so whether that's defensive or on attack.
Dave, you just signed Mitch Carpenter until 2019, so great for the loose forward depth, having him retained for another few years.
Yeah, and obviously good for the young fella to know that he's going to be in the Chiefs jersey for a long time. And we looked at him in the weekend, and he's certainly got a lot of Sam Cane type qualities, and he probably hasn't got his dominant tackle, but Sam probably didn't have that at that age either. So he's a great young man, phenomenal work rate, and he had a big ticker, so he'll have a big future.
Head to head, you haven't lost to them since 2011, 10-match winning streak, and so it's a good stat you can take into this match.
Yeah, as I said last week, we don't read too much into that. It's irrelevant what's happened in the last X amount of encounters, and as it showed last week. So they may use it as motivation, but we certainly won't be talking about it.
Will you be using the pre-season losses motivation?
Absolutely.
And so just back to that England-Italy tactic, is that something you'd like to see out of the game, or have you sort of had time to maybe look at it?
Look, I'm on a laws committee where we spoke about it back in October, and what came out of that was to try and create a tackle-only situation where if you put one support player over the ball and the opposition decide not to go into it, that would be called a breakdown, and then there would be an offside line. And to be honest, that's the way it's been played forever. If you look at people who make a line break and there's a tackle and there's no ruck, everyone still tries to get back on side. So really what that would do is just bring into law what's already been played. Obviously we've used this tactic from kickoffs occasionally and so on. It's a dumb part of the game, isn't it? And so what came out of that committee was that I was going to bring that back, the guys who are representing Australia and South Africa and so on, we're all going to drive to try and bring in that breakdown, but we didn't get a lot of support around it. I know the All Blacks are concerned around the Lions tour, and so any changes in our comp may have an effect on that series. So, be honest, I think it'll simplify the game. So it's disappointing that we're not doing that, but I think it'll probably happen post the Lions tour.
I was going to say, do you suspect you might get a little bit more support now, particularly from a union that's part of the Four Nations?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Dad, just to be clear, no injuries to report from the other night?
No, we've come through pretty well. We've, we're potentially getting a 1 or 2 back this week, which is nice. And but we've got a big squad and they've got good depth. So whoever wears the jersey's got to do the job. First game at home since Wales last year, so it's been a long time.
Just on that jersey, you're hearing something about a special jersey for Friday night. Is that right? Can't stand
Yeah, no, I can. I think each of the New Zealand teams are going to wear the jerseys that are going to be worn against the Lions, and so they'll be out in the park this weekend.
Hey Dave, just a word on facing Pulu again this weekend. What likelihood of facing him? I mean, obviously someone you know well, and he's likely to be fired up on Friday, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, he's a fantastic player, Augie, and you saw his pace and power in that try he scored. He scored a number of those for us. So, look, we're very mindful of the threat that he brings, and he takes a lot of IP up there too. He's really understands how to organise the defence in front of him, be demanding of his forwards, and he's just a really good player. So we need to shut him down and nullify his effect, no doubt.